Honestly, in the last sort of 5 years, my main sort of close friendship group, I don't know where I'd be without them. Hello boys, how are we? Today I want to talk about friends and friendship groups and why I think they're so important. I'm recording this on Thursday. Fixtures and rugby social are Wednesday nights, so if I look horrendous, that's why. But also, obviously, Wednesday and Wednesday night is the day that I spend most time sort of with my main friendship group at uni, which is sort of how this video came about. My main friendship group at university is mostly built up of guys on the rugby team, just because that's the people I spend the most time with. The people that you spend most time with completely shape you, whether you know it or not. They do. There's this old adage of you are the culmination of the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with, and I think there's a lot of truth in that. Obviously that doesn't just mean friends, that sort of also takes into account parents, your girlfriend, people you work with, which on separate videos, but why it's so important to pick a good partner and pick a good place to work and things like that, because the people that you spend time around do really affect who you are and who you become. You and your life could be in a completely different place, for the better or for the worse, if you were surrounding yourself and spending time and with different people and having a different friendship group who maybe have different goals and different attitudes towards life, because those things will rub off on you. A lot of people promote sort of having a very small circle, and I'd rather have sort of 3 really quality friends that I see all the time than loads of friends that I don't see. And I understand there is a lot of sense to that, but for me it's not an either or. I'm actually quite the opposite. My parents, just from when the time they grew up, they did a lot of travelling when they were younger, and because of that they've got friends all over the world. If they want to go on holiday to America, New Zealand, Australia, even some parts of Asia, they don't need to get hotels or anything like that, because they can just call up people that they met back in the late 80s, early 90s when they were travelling out there, that they still keep in contact with. And that's something I want when I'm older. And these are friends that sometimes they might go 5, even 10 years without seeing, but when they pick up the phone, it's like no time has passed at all. So I actually don't really agree with the idea that it's best to just have 3 friends and screw everyone else, basically. On the flip side to that, I also understand there's kind of very little point being in these massive friendship groups where no one's actually friends with each other. Everyone just argues, really, and if you actually had a problem, you wouldn't really have anyone to turn to. I don't agree with that side of things either. I sort of think of it more as you've got very close friends, you've got friends who you catch up with a few times a year, every few months, and then you've got friends that you see even less often than that. I've sort of got my main friendship group of sort of 8. We don't go out as much now because I've moved to Canterbury, but we talk pretty much all the time on our group chats and things like that, and those are sort of my close friends who I'd say I'm absolutely best mates with. On the flip side to that, I've got friends that I met through work. I still talk to some people that I even went to school with, and it's sort of horses for courses. I've got a couple of them that I literally only see because they're into rugby as well, and they're sometimes at Harlequins games when I go and things like that. I've got other friends who are sort of, I only see them, I work with them up in London, so we've got a group chat, and if anyone's out and about having a beer in London, someone will just put a message in there and we'll just try and meet up in London and have a catch up. And again, those guys I might only see sort of 2 or 3 times a year. We normally try and meet up around Christmas and once in the summer, but that's pretty much it. I've got old bosses that I got on with really well, who I haven't seen for quite a while. When they've had children or when they've got married and things like that, I've gone over to see them, and I'd consider all those people friends. They're not all people that I'd see all the time, as I've said, but they're all an important part of my life, and they're people who are important to me that I enjoy catching up with. It's good to have a big network, in my opinion. It's one of the best things about going to university or something like that, is because of just the sheer amount of friends that you can make. On a slightly smaller scale, obviously talking quite macro there in terms of having friends all over the world and big networks, on a smaller scale and sort of the real importance of having friends and close friends and friends that you get on with and a good social circle, friends can keep you going. Like, they really can. When you've got a lot on, when life's not great, when you feel like you're really busy and everything like that, and life just isn't stopping, going down the pub, having a few pints with your mates can just put the world to rights, really. I honestly, in the last sort of 5 years, my main sort of close friendship group, I don't know where I'd be without them. Not because they've done anything particularly special, but just like when we were sort of in the lockdowns and things like that, and you were first allowed to sort of meet up with people again. I still remember that very clearly, that first time that you were allowed to meet outdoors, and I'm very fortunate that one of my mates had a huge garden, so we all just brought a crate over and just sat there, and we were genuinely probably there for 6 or 7 hours just talking, and all of us felt so much better for it. And it's just been things like that. I know whenever something happens, I've got people to turn to if I want to, and it's quite nice sort of growing up with your mates. It helps they're all the same age. Last Sunday I just went to one of their housewarmings because my mate and his partner have just bought a flat together, and it's so weird. Like I knew him. They've been together the best part of sort of 4 years now, but I've been close mates with him since before he even met her. I remember the first time he brought her out on a night, and the first time we all met, and it's sort of growing up together, like having that tight knit with someone. And these are people that I like to hope will be at my wedding, will be at my funeral, will be at my 50th, my 60th, and things like that. And having that bond with people is something that really is special, and so it can sort of keep you going, and the people that you're spending that much time around with. And again, this is something I get from my parents. I'm not sure a lot of sort of older people have this, but my parents have always been exceptionally good at keeping in contact with people, and the people they're friends with now are people that they went to school with back in the mid 80s. And again, I'm not sure sort of all parents and all older people sort of have friendships like that, but my dad, certainly, his main friendship group are the people that he went to college with, that he was friends with 15 years before he'd even met my mum. And again, just sort of seeing those guys together, and they can still recall stories from when they were sort of my age, and that's the kind of thing I want with my friendship group. I know sort of saying it's good to have friends doesn't sound like a particularly controversial statement, but in the sort of YouTube that I try to do, in a lot of the self-development and everything like that, entrepreneurship and ambitious kind of books that I read and things like that, that is actually quite against the grain. A lot of it is they talk about sort of monk mode of, no partying, no going out, friends come second, everything goes towards the mission. And I think there maybe is times for that, and I think maybe the people that get to the very, very top, if you want to be CEOs and presidents and prime ministers, maybe that is the way it has to be. But for me, you'll never convince me that you'll be further along in life having no friends than having a really good set of mates who you can turn to when you need things. And on the flip side of that, even if you are sort of saying, no, the only friends I have, everything I do is for sort of business related to my mission, you don't think the people that get far in life as entrepreneurs and things like that have amazing networks? That's how they get there. You watch so many YouTubers who say, my YouTube channel was all right, I moved to LA, all my friends were YouTubers, and my channel 10x'd in the first 6 months of living there. And I'm sure my channel would do a load of good if I moved out to Austin or LA or something like that and made friends with other YouTubers and we were all pushing each other. Not something that's going to happen, but for me, like I say, the whole monk mode thing, you're never going to convince me that you're going to be happier and better off and further along in life without having a solid friendship group. Don't want to go around in circles too much. I think I've made my point. If there's 2 things that I'd say to take away from this: always make time for your friends and be social. Be the one organising things. Try and get out with your friends at least once or twice a week. Spend sort of real time where you switch off from the rest of the world and just enjoy time with your mates. And the second thing, and this is a huge one, and something I definitely get from my parents: never be too proud to be the one to reach out. Never be that guy who's like, well, he hasn't texted me, so I'm not going to text. You're a child. You're a child if you think like that. Like, if they're your mate, they're your mate. Always be the one to pick up the phone. The first thing I do every Christmas morning, not as bit easier now, we've got group chats, but before sort of group chats for a thing, I went through my entire contact list and texted everyone Merry Christmas. Whether I'd spoken to them, the last time I might have spoken to them was the Christmas before when I texted them Merry Christmas. But if you're my mate, you're my mate. If you're someone I care about, I'm gonna take the time to reach out to you. And you have no idea how many people are sat looking at their phone, wishing that they had the confidence to reach out to you first. So, yeah, that's where I'd leave it with that. Never be too proud to reach out. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. I do appreciate you guys who stick around. If you did find any of it useful, please do consider subscribing. If you're not already, I do 2 videos every week. Don't forget to like the video. As always, comment any other advice you have below, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, take care, lads.